Life doesn't wait for a perfect moment to test us. It doesn't ask if we're ready, if we're strong enough, or if the timing is right. It simply unfolds, and within that unfolding, there are trials not as isolated events, but as threads woven deeply into the fabric of our existence. The idea that trials are interruptions to a happy, uninterrupted life is a belief that quietly steals our peace. Because when we view our hardships as detours, we live in a state of resistance. We wait for the storm to pass so life can get back to normal, not realizing that the storm itself is part of the path. There is a subtle but powerful shift that happens when we stop treating trials as intrusions and start recognizing them as essential parts of the journey. It doesn't mean we enjoy the pain or pretend it's easy. It means we allow ourselves to be present in the difficulty, knowing that it belongs. There's a certain peace that comes when you stop fighting the idea that things shouldn't be hard. Life is not broken when it challenges you. Life is doing what it has always done: teach, stretch, and awaken. When you expect life to be smooth in order to feel peaceful, you will always feel like something is wrong. But when you understand that hardship is not outside of life, it is life, you begin to carry yourself differently. You don't panic as quickly. You don't feel as betrayed by the process. You don't question your worth every time something falls apart. Instead, you begin to meet each trial with a quieter spirit. A part of you, deep down, nods and says, this too is part of the journey. Some of the most powerful growth comes not in spite of our trials, but because of them. Think about the moments that changed you most, the ones that shaped your perspective, deepened your empathy, humbled your ego. Chances are they weren't easy. They weren't wrapped in comfort. They were moments that stripped away the false layers of certainty, control, and pride. And when those layers fell away, what remained was something more honest, more human, more alive. We live in a world obsessed with ease, with convenience, with the path of least resistance. But the soul doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in tension, in pressure, in the silent stretch of moments when you're unsure if you'll make it through, but you keep breathing anyway. When you stop waiting for life to settle down, you begin to settle within life. You no longer need to escape the fire, you learn how to stand in it without losing your center. And here's something beautiful. When you accept trials as part of life, you stop viewing yourself as a victim of misfortune and start becoming a participant in transformation. You no longer say, why is this happening to me? You start to ask, how is this shaping me? That question alone can open doors you never knew existed. It brings purpose into pain, clarity into confusion, and stillness into chaos. To say that trials are life is not to glorify suffering. It's not to suggest that you should seek pain. It simply means that we stop dividing life into good and bad seasons. We begin to hold it all as sacred. Joy and loss, success and failure, certainty and doubt, they are all part of the same river. And the river keeps flowing whether we resist it or learn to move with it. The truth is, trials don't break the rhythm of life, they are the rhythm. They come not to destroy, but to reveal. They uncover what is real, what is lasting, what matters. They show us our hidden strength, not by keeping us safe, but by testing the roots of what we believe. And in those moments of shaking, we either cling to illusion or we let go and find something deeper holding us. When you understand that trials are not detours but the road itself, you stop living in delay. You no longer postpone peace until the problem is solved. You no longer hold your breath, waiting for life to be easy. You breathe through it all. You trust the process even when it makes no sense. You learn to bend without breaking. And more than anything, you remember this: every challenge contains something that belongs to your becoming. And when you stop running from the hard things, you begin to return to yourself. There's a belief many of us carry quietly, unconsciously, that pain must be a sign of failure. That if life hurts, we must have done something wrong. It's the voice that whispers, maybe I'm not good enough, or if I had done better, this wouldn't have happened. We live with this heavy illusion that pain is punishment, something handed down when we fall short, when we make mistakes, when we stray too far. But pain is not here to punish you. It's here to prepare you. When you begin to see pain not as a sentence but as a signal, everything changes. Pain shows up with purpose. It's a teacher in disguise. Sometimes it enters our lives as heartbreak, sometimes as loss, sometimes as uncertainty, failure, rejection, or illness. However it arrives, it brings with it the opportunity to become more of who we truly are. Not through avoidance, but through meeting it face to face. No one walks through this life untouched by pain. And yet, how often do we carry shame around it? As though hurting means we've done something wrong. But growth doesn't ask for your perfection, it asks for your participation. It asks that you be present for the hard moments, not because they are enjoyable, but because they're essential. Pain does not diminish your worth, it reveals your resilience. Think of the times in your life when you were cracked open. When the ground beneath you shifted, when the things you leaned on crumbled. In those moments, you were not being punished. You were being prepared for deeper compassion, for greater clarity, for a truer version of yourself. It's easy to look back and connect the dots. The harder task is to trust the dot you're standing on. Preparation often looks like uncertainty. It looks like waiting without answers. It looks like letting go of what you thought life would be so you can receive what it's truly meant to become. The discomfort is not a sign to turn back. It's an invitation to lean in. Because pain doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to dissolve what is no longer needed. It strips away the outer layers, the false identities, the parts of you built to survive instead of live. And once they fall away, what remains is something raw, something real, something ready. You begin to see that every setback taught you something strength never could. Every disappointment softened your judgment, deepened your presence. Every closed door redirected you to something far more aligned, and it didn't happen despite the pain. It happened through it. What once felt like punishment was actually protection. What felt like rejection was often redirection. Life is wiser than we are. It knows what needs to break so the light can come in. Pain prepares us by revealing what we still cling to. Our expectations, our attachments, our assumptions about how things should be. It doesn't ask us to become emotionless, it invites us to feel more deeply, more honestly, and with more grace. Because the more we allow ourselves to fully experience pain, the more available we become to joy. Numb one, and you numb them both. The world tells us to avoid pain, to distract, to move on quickly, to stay productive. But healing is not linear. It's not efficient. And it can't be rushed. There is no shortcut through the kind of growth that changes you from the inside out. There is only presence. There is only patience. There is only the quiet work of showing up again and again to the truth of where you are. And the truth is there is nothing wrong with being in pain. It means you're awake. It means your heart is still open, even if it's bruised. It means you're human, and being human is not a flaw, it's a miracle. So let go of the guilt for not being over it yet. Let go of the pressure to make it look pretty. Your pain is not your punishment. It's your path. When you understand this, you begin to hold your story differently. You stop trying to erase the difficult chapters. You stop wishing the hard parts away. You start to see that even the pain had a place. It shaped your tenderness. It built your strength. It brought you face to face with what matters most. And in some strange, sacred way, it brought you closer to yourself. So no, pain is not here to punish you. It's here to prepare you for the person you were meant to become. It's part of the process, not the problem. And when you meet it with curiosity instead of resistance, with compassion instead of judgment, you begin to heal in ways that are deeper than surface relief. You grow roots. You find your center. You begin to trust that life is not falling apart, it's falling into place. And in that trust, you find peace not because life stopped hurting, but because you stopped believing it was meant to punish you. There is something quietly transformative about the way life delivers its most important lessons. Rarely do they arrive wrapped in ease or comfort. More often, they show up in the form of challenges disguised as loss, uncertainty, rejection, or unexpected change. These challenges don't announce themselves as gifts. They don't come with a label that says, "This will make sense later." They arrive uninvited, heavy, and often painful. But within each one lies something waiting to be discovered. A hidden offering, a quiet treasure meant just for you. Growth never comes without friction. And yet, we've been taught to seek the path of least resistance to measure a good life by how smooth and uninterrupted it is. But that illusion quickly crumbles the moment life gets real. And it always does. When it does, you begin to see that the discomfort you once tried to avoid is actually the birthplace of transformation. The cracks in your life are not there to break you. They are there to let the light in. It's natural to want clarity in the middle of chaos, to want immediate answers and quick resolution. But growth rarely happens on our timeline. It unfolds slowly in layers, sometimes in silence. And more often than not, it begins with pain. Pain is not the enemy. It's the doorway. It asks you to pay attention, to stop rushing, to listen to what life is really saying, not with your mind, but with your heart. Every challenge carries within it a gift. But the gift is not always obvious. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. It waits quietly for you to be ready to receive it. Sometimes the gift is strength you didn't know you had. Sometimes it's clarity about what truly matters. Sometimes it's the shedding of a false identity that no longer fits who you're becoming. The challenge is not in receiving the gift. The challenge is in staying present long enough to find it. We often think that growth is a result of success or progress. But some of the most powerful growth happens in the stillness between endings and beginnings. It happens when nothing makes sense, when the answers don't come, when all you can do is show up anyway. You find parts of yourself in those moments that could never have been found in comfort. You begin to see that life isn't always about moving forward. Sometimes it's about going deeper. When you go through something hard, you change. You're never quite the same. And that's not a failure, it's evolution. The things you used to cling to might no longer fit. The way you once saw the world might begin to shift. What once seemed so certain may now feel fragile. But that's not the end. That's the beginning of something more honest, something more aligned, something more you. It takes courage to see your challenges this way. It's easier to label them as unfair, to resist them, to wish them away. But when you soften your grip and allow yourself to ask, what is this here to teach me? You open the door to a deeper kind of healing. You stop reacting and you begin to respond. You stop fighting the lesson and you start receiving the gift. And you don't have to understand it all right away. You don't have to pretend you're okay when you're not. Finding the gift doesn't mean denying the pain. It means trusting that the pain is not without purpose. It means knowing that one day, maybe not today, something beautiful will grow from this. Maybe not in the way you expected, maybe not in the form you wanted, but in the way you truly needed. What's remarkable is how often, when we look back on the hardest seasons of our lives, we see the grace that was hidden in them, the unexpected connections, the inner strength we didn't know existed, the deeper empathy that formed when everything fell apart. At the time, we were just trying to survive, but somewhere in the struggle, something inside us grew. Challenges shape us in ways that comfort never could. They sharpen our awareness. They deepen our capacity for love. They teach us how to let go, how to forgive, how to begin again. And while it may not feel like it when you're in the middle of the storm, those hidden gifts are always there quietly waiting beneath the surface. The beauty of life is not in how little we struggle, but in how deeply we grow through what we face. The strength you build in hardship, the wisdom you gather in the waiting, the softness you find through your pain, these are not side effects. These are the gifts. And they are yours to carry forward. So when life tests you, when things fall apart, when the path disappears, when the weight feels too heavy, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself not how quickly you can escape, but what this moment might be offering. The gift may not be obvious, but it is there. And when you are ready, you will find it. And in that quiet discovery, you'll realize the challenge was never just a burden, it was also a blessing in disguise. There's a question that often rises in the middle of hardship, a question that comes so naturally, it almost feels automatic. Why is this happening to me? It's a human response. When we're hurting, when life turns in an unexpected direction, when everything we've built begins to crumble, that question slips in like a shadow. It comes from a place of pain, of confusion, of wanting to make sense of something that feels senseless. But it's also a question rooted in resistance, because when we ask why me, we place ourselves at the center of something we can't control. We turn the moment into a judgment, a burden, or worse, a form of punishment. But there's another question, one that carries a quieter power. What is this trying to teach me? This simple shift doesn't make the pain go away. It doesn't erase the struggle, but it transforms the way we hold it. It turns us from passive recipients of life's weight into active participants in our own growth. It opens a doorway. It invites curiosity where there once was blame, and that alone begins to lighten the load. Life is never just happening to you, it's also happening through you and for you. And when you begin to understand that, even the hardest moments start to feel different. You begin to see pain not as proof that something is wrong, but as part of something deeper unfolding. The question, why me, keeps you stuck in the past, anchored to what should have been. But what is this teaching me? Brings you into the present, where real change begins. Lessons rarely arrive wrapped in clarity. Most often they show up in discomfort, silence, or uncertainty. It takes stillness to hear them. It takes humility to receive them. Because the truth is, every difficult moment is speaking to something within us, some part that's ready to grow, to break open, to evolve. But if we stay in the mindset of resistance, we miss that invitation. This doesn't mean you won't feel frustration, sadness, or anger. You will, and you should. This isn't about bypassing emotion or pretending everything is okay when it isn't. It's about being honest with what you feel while staying open to what it might be revealing. Pain isn't here to shame you, it's here to shape you. Sometimes it's about letting go of control, of expectations, of what you thought your life was supposed to look like. Sometimes it's about learning to be still, to rest, to slow down and listen. Sometimes the lesson is one of strength, showing you just how much you can endure and still stand. Other times, it's about softness, about choosing compassion over bitterness, forgiveness over pride. You don't always get to choose the trial, but you do get to choose the lesson you take from it. And the beautiful thing is, the more you practice asking, what is this teaching me? The more empowered you feel, even in the darkest seasons. You realize you are not just surviving, you are becoming. Every challenge is carving away what is false and calling forth what is real. It's revealing your capacity to grow, to love, to stay present even when things feel broken. The shift is subtle but powerful. Instead of being at war with your circumstances, you begin to walk with them. You stop asking life to be easier and start asking yourself to be wiser. You begin to trust the process not because it's painless, but because it's purposeful. This shift also softens your heart. When you see your own challenges as teachers, you begin to view others differently too. You stop judging people so quickly. You start seeing that everyone is carrying something. Everyone is learning, everyone is walking their own hard path. Compassion grows when we stop asking why me and start realizing we're not alone in this. We're all being shaped by the same forces of life, just in different ways. So the next time something falls apart, when the road becomes unclear or the silence feels deafening, try to pause before rushing to fix or blame. Sit with the discomfort. Let it speak. Ask gently, what is this trying to teach me? And listen not for an immediate answer, but for a deeper understanding, because within every challenge lies a seed of transformation. And it's often the smallest questions asked with the greatest honesty that lead us to the biggest breakthroughs. And when you learn to meet your pain with curiosity instead of resistance, life begins to unfold not as a punishment, but as a profound conversation with your soul. We live in a world that is quick to label, quick to judge, and even quicker to measure worth by external standards, success, appearance, productivity, perfection. And somewhere along the way, when life shakes us, when we break down or feel lost, that outside noise starts to echo inward. We begin to believe that if we're struggling, we must be broken. That if we've made mistakes, failed, or lost our way, something in us must be lacking. But you're not broken, you're becoming. Becoming is not clean, not linear, not polished. It's messy. It's raw. It's filled with contradictions. There are days when you feel like you're making progress and days when it feels like you've gone 10 steps back. There are moments of clarity followed by moments of doubt. But none of this means you're broken. It means you're in the middle of something sacred, something real, something that doesn't always look pretty, but carries deep meaning if you're willing to stay with it. When a seed is buried in the soil, it doesn't look like much. It's covered in darkness. It's unseen, unnoticed, and completely surrounded by pressure. But it isn't dead. It's becoming. Something is happening below the surface, quiet, slow, and unseen. And eventually, when the time is right, breaks through, not because it was forced, but because it grew into who it was always meant to be. The same is true for you. There are seasons in life when everything feels hidden, uncertain, or even hopeless. Seasons when your heart aches and your vision blurs. But you are not stuck. You are not lost. You are not defective. You are in the process of becoming, of shedding what no longer serves you, and slowly stepping into what's true. We don't talk about this part enough. We praise the outcome, but rarely honor the in-between. We celebrate transformation, but often overlook the sacredness of falling apart. Yet falling apart is not the end. It's often the doorway to deeper wholeness. There's a part of you that must break in order for something truer to emerge. Not because you are broken, but because growth demands space. It's easy to forget this when life is heavy. When emotions flood your chest and old wounds resurface, it's tempting to look at yourself and say, what's wrong with me? But the better question is, what is being revealed in me? Maybe the sadness is showing you what matters most. Maybe the anxiety is asking for your attention. Maybe the confusion is guiding you back to yourself. You are not a problem to be fixed. You are a soul being refined. We were never meant to be perfect. We were meant to be whole. And wholeness includes every part of you, the strength and the softness, the joy and the grief, the clarity and the chaos. All of it belongs. When you stop trying to cut away the parts of yourself that feel messy or uncomfortable, you begin to embrace the beauty of being fully human. There's a quiet courage in allowing yourself to unravel. To sit with your pain without rushing to fix it. To acknowledge your wounds without letting them define you. To be honest about where you are without shame. That kind of courage doesn't scream, it whispers. It shows up in your willingness to keep going, to show up, to breathe, to trust that what feels like breaking down is really breaking open. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy of peace. You don't have to rush your healing or prove your value. Growth isn't a race, it's a return. A return to who you were before the world told you who you should be. A return to the quiet strength inside you that was never lost, only buried. And as you begin to let go of the idea that you need to be fixed, you make space for grace. You begin to relate to yourself with more compassion, more understanding, more patience. You begin to trust that your becoming is unfolding exactly as it needs to, even if it looks different than you imagined. Even if it takes longer than you hoped, you are still becoming. And that is more than enough. There will be times when the journey feels unclear, when you question your path, your choices, even your purpose. But those moments don't mean you're off track. They mean you're deep in the work. Real growth doesn't always come with clarity. Sometimes it comes with surrender, with letting go of what you thought life would be and opening your hands to what it's becoming. So the next time you feel broken, remind yourself, this is part of the becoming. You're shedding layers, healing wounds, discovering truths that were always inside you. You're not behind. You're not too late. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, even if it doesn't feel that way yet. And when you begin to see yourself through the lens of grace, not judgment, you realize you were never broken, you were always becoming whole. At some point, we all wait for life to return to normal, to settle, to make sense, to feel certain again. We believe that once the storm passes, we'll finally breathe, finally feel okay, finally live the life we've imagined. But life is not built on perfect conditions. Life unfolds in the in-between. It unfolds in the waiting, in the unknown, in the moments when nothing is certain and everything feels out of reach. Peace isn't something that arrives when everything is fixed. It's something we learn to access, even when everything isn't. We often think of peace as something passive, as silence, stillness, the absence of noise or pain. But peace is not the absence of chaos. It's the calm you carry within it. It's the ability to be grounded when life feels unstable. It's the strength to pause when your heart is racing and your thoughts are loud. It's choosing to come back to the present moment, even when that moment is far from easy. There will be seasons in your life where clarity won't come, where no amount of overthinking will produce a solution, where the only step forward is to surrender, to stop demanding that life look the way you expected and to start meeting it as it is. Not because you've given up, but because you've chosen peace over control. And in that surrender, something incredible happens. You begin to see that peace was never waiting for the perfect moment, it was waiting for your permission. Finding peace in the middle of pain, in the middle of the trial, is not about denying your feelings. It's not about pretending to be okay. It's about accepting that your emotions are valid, but they are not in control. It's learning to sit with discomfort without letting it define your worth. It's allowing yourself to cry without falling apart. It's acknowledging your fears without letting them make the decisions. The world tells us that peace comes through fixing everything, that we need to hustle harder, be better, do more. But the deeper truth is that peace often comes when we slow down. When we stop trying to outperform our pain and start listening to what it's trying to say. It's a quiet revolution, the decision to choose softness in a world that rewards hardness. The choice to breathe deeply when everything feels like it's falling apart. Sometimes peace looks like boundaries. Saying no, resting, pulling back from what drains you. Sometimes peace looks like forgiveness of others, yes, but also of yourself. Forgiving yourself for not knowing better, for trying and failing, for holding on too long or letting go too soon. Peace isn't perfection, it's presence. It's being here fully with everything you are and everything you're still becoming. And the beautiful paradox is this: when you stop chasing peace, you begin to experience it. Not as a destination, but as a way of being. You stop waiting for the storm to pass, and you learn how to stand in the rain. Not because you enjoy the storm, but because you've realized you can withstand it and even grow from it. When life feels overwhelming and your mind starts to spiral, return to what you can control. Your breath, your focus, the small, simple practices that keep you anchored. Maybe it's a walk, a few minutes of silence, a word that grounds you, a memory that reminds you of how far you've come. These things may seem small, but they are powerful. They are how peace speaks. And yes, there will be days when peace feels far away. When fear is louder, when your heart aches and your mind races, that's okay. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. But even on those days, you can still choose moments of peace. A pause, a prayer, a deep breath that reminds you you're still here, you're still becoming. You don't have to wait for life to be perfect to feel peace. You don't have to wait for the pain to end to feel grounded. You don't have to have all the answers to feel whole. Peace isn't something out there waiting for you to earn it. It's something already inside you, waiting for you to return to it. So when the trials come, and they will remember, you don't need to escape the storm. You need to learn how to stand in it with grace. You need to remember that peace is not about what's happening around you, but about how you choose to meet it within you. And when you choose presence over panic, trust over fear, and softness over resistance, you realize peace was never a place to get to. It was a path you could walk even in the middle of it all. As we journey through life, we come to understand that the trials, the tests, and the moments of uncertainty are not here to defeat us. They are here to shape us. They are opportunities for growth, for self-discovery, and for transformation. Life does not ask for perfection, but for presence, for courage, and for the willingness to learn from every challenge. And as you continue on your path, remember that you are never truly broken. You are always becoming, always evolving, and always capable of finding peace amidst the chaos. So, as you move forward, may you find strength in your struggles, wisdom in your challenges, and peace in your heart, even when life feels uncertain. Embrace each trial, knowing it is part of your journey, and trust that you have within you all that you need to navigate whatever comes your way. Thank you for taking this time to reflect on the deeper truths that lie within us all. I wish you the very best on your own journey. May it be filled with growth, clarity, and moments of true peace. Good luck, and thank you once again for your attention and presence today.